Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on editing user information or employees information. And we need to activate this button in order to do so. So remember, we already worked on editing a product, and the process of editing user information is going to be similar to editing a product. It's the only difference is that here we are editing a user information, unlike before where we had to edit product information. So the first step is that we need to convert this file edit user to PHP. I'm gonna here rename this file, and then I'm gonna say edit user.php. And then the second step is that we need to open the index, because the index.php contains these buttons. So for these buttons, what we want to do is that we want to activate these buttons. So where is the edit button? The edit button is this one. So here in the href, what I'm going to say is that I'm going to say PHP, and then I'm going to echo the user ID. I'm going to the link first. I'm going to say edit underscore edit user.php, and then question mark, and then I'm going to say user underscore ID is equal to, and then dot, and then I'm gonna pass here user ID, and then semicolon. That's it. Now in the edit user, we need to protect this page. Remember, in the edit product we had this code which protects the page if user comes to this page without having a product ID. Then we shouldn't allow the admin or the user to come to this page, because we don't know the product that they want to edit. Similarly here, I'm gonna copy this code from the edit product, and in the edit user above the form, here above this form, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna paste it. However, this time we are checking whether we have a user ID or not. So I'm gonna say here, if is not set user underscore ID, then we need to take the user to the index.php, and then I'm going to say here error message is equal to user ID was not given. User ID was not given. And then I'm gonna work on the edit. I'm gonna work on displaying the message later. Let's now focus on the form. So the form is very similar to the edit products. The only difference here, this edit products, the only difference is that this form contains the product information, whereas this form contains the or has fields that are related to the user So here in this form, in the edit user form, we need to activate this form. We need to say method, and the method is post. And we need to say action, and the action, I'm going to create a new page called update underscore user.php, and we need to here display the user ID. I'm going to say PHP, and then I'm going to say echo, and what I'm going to echo is that I'm going to echo get user ID, get user ID. And we need to create a field to store the user ID. I'm going to say input, and then the type is hidden, and the name is user ID, and the value is PHP echo user ID. Get user ID. So we are done with this. The second thing that we need to do is that we need to remember the names of these inputs. So we have the email, it has a name, it has email, it has the names are email, title, role, and the select, we need to give it a name. I'm going to say here name, and obviously the name is status, because this is the status. And lastly, we have the update. I'm going to say here update underscore user underscore btn. For the ID, I'm going to also say update underscore user underscore btn. And we are good to go. Now, let's create the page. Let's create the new page here. I'm going to create a new page called update underscore user.php. And the code is going to be similar to update product. Therefore, I'm going to copy the code from the update product. I'm going to copy the complete code, and then I'm going to paste it in the update user, which is awesome because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You already have the code, but of course you need to edit a few things. First, here we need to say update user button, and then we need to get the user ID, and here user ID. The second thing that we need to get is that we need to get the email. So here I'm going to say email, and then the third thing that we need to get is the title, and then role, and then status. So we need to get title here, title, post title, and then role here, role, and then status, and lastly we need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to remove this last one. We don't have a category. And then here in the statement we need to say update user set what? Set actually not user, the table was employee. Remember? Let me show you this. If I open up the product, if I open up the PHP project, we have the employee. The name of the table is employee, and the fields that I want to edit are name, email, title, role. So I'm going to say name, and then email, and then title, and then role, name, email, title, role, and then status. So lastly here I'm going to say status. And where, of course, where ID is equal to question mark. And here, of course, question marks. And here we need to say bind param, and we need to say SI. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The ID is I. So the first thing that we need to pass is the name here. Name, and then actually we don't have the name. Here, remember, in the edit user we shouldn't pass the name because the name is not going to be changed. So I shouldn't here say name. I'm going to remove this name. So we should say email. We start with the email. So I'm going to remove the name, and I'm going to remove the first S. So it's going to say here email, and then title, and then role, status, ID. So SI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to start with the email, title, and then role, and then status, and then user ID. Let me double check this. It's important to double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to remove the category here, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And finally here, in case of success, we need to say index.php, success message, user was updated successfully, else index.php, error message, user error, user was not updated. And in case of another error, we need to say index.php, error message, error, try again. And that's it. The last thing that we need to work on is displaying the error message. So in the index, we need to display the error message, and fortunately we have the code in one place, which is the messages. remember we have here, we have messages. So this messages, so what I'm going to do is that in the index, I'm going to import the messages. So where should we import it? We should import it above the table, above this table, which should be here. It should be, let me show you where it should be here. In the index, we should import it here or here. Let me import it here. I think here. It should be here. Let me test. So you can test by saying here P, and then here say test, and then I'm gonna say class text center, and let me now refresh, and it will be displayed here, and I think this is fine. Or you can display it above if you want. It's up to you where you want to display it. Let's display it here. So I'm gonna say here PHP, and then include messages.php. Or again, you can display it above if you want to display it above the cards. Above these cards, you can display it here. You can display it here, messages. Let me now save and let me refresh and test. So now let me edit the first employee here. Let me, for example, edit the title. So the title, let me say something else. I'm going to say manager. So he was a software engineer. Now I'm going to say manager. And the email, I'm going to say j@email.com. The role, let's say senior manager. And I'm going to say active. Now if I click on update, as you can see here, it has been updated. Here it says j@email.com, and then manager, active, senior manager. And here it says user was updated successfully. And in case of error, it's going to display an error message. So now we know how to edit or update user information.